How you all doing? Hope you're keeping safe out there. Today I'm taking a look at a Marvel Legends figure that I wasn't originally going to get, but now I kind of bloody love. It's the Marvel Legends single release retro Venom figure. And this thing's a cracker, folks, it really is. I managed to get this thing from, well, the only place you really can get it from actually at the moment is Hasbro Pulse. It was like a Pulsecon exclusive, they're now selling individually. It's a little expensive, but I had a little bit of spare cash and I thought, oh, it's worth it. Well, I was umming and ahhing about it because of the way it's done, but I'm really glad I got it. This is an amazing figure. It just looks stunning. And, you know, folks, you know me, spiel, it's backstory time. It's Venom, so most of you probably already know this. First appearing in, pardon me, first appearing in Secret Wars, number 8, a story in which Spider-Man accidentally picks up an alien costume, brings it back to Earth, finds out it's alive, gets rid of it thanks to the Fantastic Four. It then merges with a guy named Eddie Brock, who already has a bit of a hatred for Spider-Man, mixed with the symbiote's hatred for Spider-Man. The two of them come together to form Venom. And, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Eddie Brock was a reporter who had been... Well, I don't think it's really his fault. He had a source that came in saying he was the Sin Eater from the death of Jean DeWolf. The death of Jean DeWolf. I'll throw a link up in the top corner for Comic Pop's coverage of that story. It's actually really good. But anyway, it turns out his source was actually false and he got fired. His life kind of went to crap and he blamed Spider-Man for it because Spider-Man was the one who actually caught the real Sin Eater. But anyway, the two of them joined together to become Venom. Big thorn in Spider-Man's side for a good long while, until eventually in The Amazing Spider-Man number 375, after kidnapping Spider-Man's parents, they're not really his parents, this is comic books, they're like clone robot thingy-majigs, and realising, yeah, maybe Spider-Man isn't the worst person in the world, the two of them make a deal where Venom basically leaves. As long as Spider-Man doesn't follow him or come after him, he'll leave him alone. And obviously this being the 90s and Venom being so popular back then, this led to just a dozen or so little limited series of Venom. They were all really good. I think I have at least like 1 or 2 issues of every one because, as I said, they were all okay and they're all very 90s. And as a 90s kid, I loved Venom. Everyone did. And obviously Venom is still popular today. I mean, it's still got an ongoing series. He's had multiple big events in Marvel that have had him in the centre of them. He has 2 large blockbuster films in the last few years, Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, both multi-million-dollar films that have just blown up in the box office. And today, like, Venom is one of the largest and most successful properties in Marvel, and it's kind of easy to understand why, because it's just so bloody cool as a design, as a character. It's always been great fun. This figure in particular is actually based on a particular version of Venom. It's the Venom from the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon, that really great one with the kick-ass intro. Like, if you were a kid in the 90s, this was the Spider-Man you watched on TV, and Venom appeared in it technically at the end of the second part of the Alien costume saga, but more like on-screen wise in part 3 of that bit, or part 3 of that saga. And Venom's just really cool. This is actually the first introduction I had to Venom, and I like it. They had a unique way of drawing him. Like, his body was black with a white detailing, but the highlights were always blue on one side, red on the other, as if it had like a weird like lighting, just a reflection on the symbiote. Gave like an oily appearance maybe. It looked really cool, and this is like the Venom I first got introduced to, and it's kind of the Venom I think of actually, in the back of my mind when I think Venom. And yeah, this figure actually perfectly recreates that, well, I'm going to say damn near perfectly recreates that artistic style, with the musculature being highlighted in red and blue, alternatively giving it a cel-shaded styling, which is fantastic. And I actually almost didn't buy this figure because of this cel shading, because I was thinking, well, it doesn't look like Venom from the comic books, does it? But I took a risk and I bought it, and from the minute I had it in my hands I realised this is the Venom from my childhood. This is the version I saw in that cartoon that I absolutely loved, and this figure looks amazing. It uses the Omega Red body, which a lot of people wanted them to use for a long while because it's big and bulky, but it's got good articulation, and it's a nice sculpt. It's really, really good. And this figure has all that. It's got butterfly joints in the shoulders as well, so it's got a real good like forwards and backwards motion on it. Universal hips and shoulders, double jointed knees and elbows, great head articulation, ball jointed neck and all that lot. Just ankle tilts and pivots, just wonderful. Not only that, but something does really amazingly, or should I say something that is really amazing about it, the white spider isn't just painted on, it's a sculpted on raised element, which is really good because it means it's actually less likely to have crappy paint. And if there are any paint blemishes or imperfections, it's much easier to touch that sort of thing up on a sculpted element. And speaking of sculpt, the head sculpt is new. Well, there's actually two of them in fact, but they are both just perfect representations of Venom's appearance in the cartoon, which has always been slightly different than his comic book appearance, because he had like the slits, the cat's eye style slits in the whites of his symbiote eyes. Looks really good, and that sort of big, almost duckbillish lips. I see the two heads, one has the tongue just in the mouth, the other one has it lolling out, and it just looks really great. The figure comes with two different sets of hands. One is a set of fists. The other, I think, is actually a digitally shrunken down version of the hands that came with the Monster Venom Builder figure. I think their sculpting's the same, just obviously shrunk down by like a third, but they work really well. The only complaint I have actually is to do with the hands. It's that they don't have the white squares on the back like they should do. Yeah, again, that's something that I might tackle with a bit of paint and, you know, some tape to make a perfect square. Dab a little white paint on there, seal it. It'll be fine. Or I actually kind of got the suspicion they might reuse this like body recipe in the future just to make a Venom figure with a comic book look, so a comic book head. Keep the spider on the chest because it's, you know, it's a sculpted element. You're going to reuse that. And instead of it as a jet black body for the rest of it, none of this red and blue detailing. That would sell, and that'd be really good. Oh yeah, actually another like just slight complaint, because this is a reuse of the Omega Red body. Even though they sculpted on the new detailing for the Venom spider, they left the holes in the shoulders where Omega Red's harness would clip into the body. You don't really notice them as such, but they do occasionally like break the sculpt up and break up the illusion of those red and blue lines. But yeah, again, you can live with it. And if you were the kind of person who's thinking of like touching up the paint on this thing, bit of filler in there, just paint black over it, you'll never notice them. So yeah, just all in all, this is a fantastically brilliant figure. Even the packaging it comes in is actually really cool as well. Like, I had the old 90s Toy Biz Spider-Man Venom figure. I'll throw the photo up here of that figure and this one. So you can see the packaging is identical. Well, as identical as you can get. But like, it's brilliant. The same artwork, the same layout. It's brilliant, and it's that wonderful hint of nostalgia. Well, hit, should I say, of nostalgia. And that's not all. That carded backed figure also comes in a beautiful mailer box, which is just black with Venom's face on the front and detailing all the way around. That brilliant animated style Venom with the blue and the red detailing. It's just magnificent. Oh, I really do love this figure. I'm glad I got it. Okay, I've got to compare him now to some others in my collection. Up first, it has to be Spider-Man, the retro version. This is like as close as we're ever going to get to the animated Spider-Man series figures. Oh, this is the closest we're ever going to get to a figure of the classic animated Spider-Man. The only difference is the eyes, maybe? No, actually, this actually really works well. And the two look great together. As you can see, this Omega Red body just adds the bulk and just the girth compared to Spider-Man. Oh, another thing I also did forget to mention, they did actually re-sculpt the forearms of the figure to give him he has like tendril type vein things on the forearms, which were a unique thing to the cartoon appearance. They've added them in here. They look really great. Just a subtle thing they didn't have to add, but I'm glad they did. But yeah, as you can see, next to Spider-Man, they look great together. Here's Venom next to the last figure I reviewed, which is the retro Thing. And as I said before, like, the Thing, when I reviewed him, is a biggish figure. I mean, he's a fair weight and a fair size, and he's about the same size as Venom here, so yeah, they're both really great, substantial figures. And I think which is a really good thing for the price point they go for. You're getting your money's worth. Here he's next to another bigger figure in my collection, Man Thing. Looks great. Another big figure, and it looks good with him. Here he is, one of the biggest figures in my collection, the 80th anniversary Hulk. He is reasonably smaller, but you know, it's the Hulk. Not many people as big as him. And here's the ones I think actually really are telling. Here he is with the Hyperion body version of Venom. It's the same sculpt they used for both the Absorbing Man wave and the Monster Venom wave. And that was a good figure to have on your shelf for a long while, but look at the size difference between the two. Not only that, but like the sculpting of this new one has much more defined musculature and better integrated articulation. It just makes the old one look a little I'm not going to say sad, that's the wrong word, dated. It makes it look dated. And it's really nice to see, I say, this new figure with the old figures just that glossy black, none of the red and blue detailing, and maybe just those head sculpts that the old figure came with, like the comic book versions. Combine those two together, you'd have a fantastic comic book version of Venom. And here he is with the movie version of Venom from obviously the Venom movies. This is from the Venom Pool Build-A-Figure wave. It's a slightly paint. I took the silver detailing that was really egregiously painted on the figure. So I washed that down, so it doesn't really show, but it just comes up slightly in the light. And the two look great together again. They're both big figures. I mean, that Venom figure is like just over 7 inches tall, the movie version, and this one looks just as good next to it. It's amazing. Yeah, so that's it, folks. All I can say is just, if you can get this figure, and you should still be able to, it's up on Hasbro Pulse, I really highly recommend getting it. It's a wonderful, nostalgic figure for those of us who watched the 90s Spider-Man cartoon show. And even if you didn't watch that, it's a great figure at the end of the day. It's just fantastic. It's a high recommendation. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment down below. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for more mediocre content at best. Until next time, folks, I want you all to stay safe, stay sane, and keep on rolling. And I'll see you all next time. Ta-da!